Does the course of history follow the science of chaos? Reflection on the insightful analogy of the flow of water in a riverbed, as discussed in Chapter 5, serves to illustrate the workings of the process of chaos in history. The accelerated rate of change since the mid-19th century in science, technology, and innovations has escalated the flow, the rapids of change, to a torrential level. Thus, it has introduced turbulence, instability, and commotion into the course of the history of our times. Out of such turbulent flow, order is emerging. This process of chaos is ubiquitous, as we have seen in Chapter 5. It extends beyond the natural sciences to social sciences, to the history of humankind, an important focus of these pages. In the context of history, two fundamental questions face us. Is the course of history moving in a direction of total disintegration, or alternatively, as a pattern of apparent disorder, or as anticipated by the science of chaos, is the course of history following a pattern of apparent disorganization, albeit with an emerging order? How can one distinguish between these two possibilities? Reflection on these questions evokes a fundamental law of physics, the second law of thermodynamics. According to this law, human society from the very beginning of human life on this planet, if left to itself, should have moved toward increasing levels of disorder and disintegration. However, a retrospective look at the trajectory of history shows the contrary. Society has progressed over time through increasing levels of order. We may rightly ask, does an inherent order underlie the process of history? Furthermore, might the course of the history of humankind display the property of fractal, a mathematical feature of the science of chaos, as discussed in Chapter 5? Specifically, does the trajectory of history exhibit a pattern which is repeated over time at grander and grander levels? Is it possible to discern escalating levels of collective unity repeated at larger and larger scales, similar to the property of fractal of the process of chaos? An overview of the course of history from the very beginning of the emergence of human society to the present time displays increasing levels of collective unity at each level of society, from the smallest unit in the scale of human organization, the family, to tribe, then to city-state, and then to nationhood. At this time, when we are clearly on the verge of a global society, can we look to prospects for global unity? Might this feature of self-similarity at all levels of expansion of society qualify the system of history as a true chaotic process with fractal dimensions? The trajectory of history suggests that its course might indeed be following the process of true chaos, that our turbulent and chaotic times hold the promise of an emerging order is in line with the Baha'i worldview on the ultimate destiny of humankind. Shoghi Effendi refers to the attainment of these progressive levels of unity in human organization. This will indeed be the fitting climax of that process of integration which, starting with the family, the smallest unit in the scale of human organization, must, after having called successfully into being the tribe, the city-state, and the nation, continue to operate until it culminates in the unification of the whole world, this final object and the crowning glory of human evolution on this planet. The prospect for attainment of the crowning glory of human evolution on this planet is exhilarating. However, the path to this glorious outcome is tumultuous. It is essential to bring to mind and appreciate that turbulence and instability precede attainment of a higher level order. They set the stage for the forging of strong, cohesive ties and bonds, in this case toward the oneness of the human race. The forces that have been generated in our world are sweeping humankind toward global consciousness and the inescapable need for a global world order. That which is taking place in our very midst is a precursor to what Shoghi Effendi views as a fitting climax of that process of integration, unification of the whole world, and transformation of human civilization, the final object and the crowning glory of human evolution on this planet. Shoghi Effendi continues with this sweeping statement. It is this stage which humanity, willingly or unwillingly, is resistlessly approaching. It is for this stage that this fiery ordeal which humanity is experiencing is mysteriously paving the way. It is with this stage that the fortunes and the purpose of the faith of Baha'u'llah are indissolubly linked. Continue. Okay.
Yeah.
Turbulence holds enormous energy for the formation of higher level bonds. As discussed in chapter 5, turbulence is a key feature for the process of chaos. It captures and holds a force sufficiently powerful for the creation of a higher level order. That chaos precedes strong bond formation. That chaos precedes strong bond formation was shown in chemical systems by Ilya Prigogine, who provided evidence that self-maintaining systems, even at a chemical level, can recreate new order when they reach chaotic states. Thus, chaos precedes the formation of strong bonds and their transformation into higher order bonds. The application of this principle to the formation of higher levels of collective unity in the course of history should be readily apparent. Many express skepticism about the view that history may be headed toward higher levels of unity. In support of their contention, they often provide as evidence a world system which has become progressively more disunified. At first glance, such arguments may seem convincing. It is essential to note, however, that the attainment of each level of societal unity has been preceded by significant tumult and turmoil. Reflection on the formation of city-states, nation building, or even the development of European integration supports this point. Furthermore, such turbulence may continue to pose challenges to a system as we now witness in Europe until it is further solidified. Turbulence precedes the formation of each level of unity. In line with the science of chaos, it sets the stage for the formation of higher level bonds. Shoghi Effendi calls attention to the example of the American Civil War that welded the states of the American Republic into a nation. Could anything less than the fire of a civil war with all its violence and vicissitudes, a war that nearly rent the great American Republic, have welded the states not only into a union of independent units, but into a nation, in spite of all the ethnic differences that characterized its component parts? We have but to turn our gaze to humanity's blood-stained history to realize that nothing short of intense mental as well as physical agony has been able to precipitate those epoch-making changes that constitute the greatest landmarks in the history of human civilization. The foregoing discussion on the course of history has been centered on the premise that its unfoldment displays attributes and characteristics of the science of chaos. Its features of turbulence, instability, and disequilibrium mask a higher level order in the process of emergence. Prigogine and Stingers have encouraged the extension of the science of chaos to the process of history. Such extension imparts fascinating insights into the tumultuous events of our times and their outcome in the unification of humankind. This understanding is implicit in the Baha'i view of the course and outcome of history and is fundamental to the grand vision which Baha'u'llah offers to humanity.
Right. Before I go to you, Jay, Dr. Khodadad, can we test your voice, please, your sound?
Say, yes.
That's
Can you
perfect.
hear me? I wanted to make a point here. I don't know how much of it I missed. We were talking about Prigozhin. He has written a book. He's a Nobel laureate, Order Out of Chaos. And this really relates so much with the discussion we're having today that go back to beliefs or thoughts presented by Baha'u'llah and also discussed analytically by the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi. And at this point, I want to take the opportunity to emphasize for all of us never to ignore and set aside the writings of the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi, regardless amidst the Ruhi process or whatever we may be studying, because I think his writings do have primacy. There is a depth in them that you cannot capture through any other curriculum. So here is my chance. He has discussed about the process of disorganization and reorganization, the process of advancement of the process of disorganization and also advancement of the process of disorganization. And oddly enough, these are interrelated to one another. In fact, Ilya Prigozhin, Nobel laureate, in a book of his, which is mentioned, Order Out of Chaos, is talking about the same thing that beloved Shoghi Effendi had referred to, the scientific aspect of that. How it is that in process of chaos, one order disintegrates and the other one integrates. And when you read deeply into the physics of it, in fact, the disorganization results in generation of so much energy, and that energy is reutilized for generation of a new order. I don't know if I'm making sense to you in this through my iPhone, but this is a very important concept. And I think that we as Baha'is, it's wonderful to cover the current proposed curriculum, but that by itself is not sufficient. I think we need to read the writings and study the writings of Shoghi Effendi. And here is my chance to say that because it comes right into the concepts that are presented in this book, the dynamics of growth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you make great sense. We're so glad that your audio is back. Jay, please.
I just sent something to the chat, but I wanted to further Dr. Khodadad's. Sorry if I mispronounced the name, but the order that we're at an equilibrium, and when we're at an equilibrium, things don't change. Everything stays the same. But Baha'u'llah said he's going to bring a new equilibrium, and that's where the turbulence, the most creative time for a new something to be created. It can't be created during the equilibrium. There has to be the turbulence for the new creation to happen. So that's what we're going through now, and that's what Shoghi Effendi described so well. And I wanted to mention about the fractals, which is also so important for clusters growth, for cluster development. That from reading the writings, we've been told that agriculture is going to be the foundation and how important agriculture is. So if we have agro clusters develop with every household being a micro enterprise and collectively that there would be a hub, making many out of one, so that we can have even neighborhoods that are devoted to agriculture and Baha'i communities, so that the Baha'i culture can emerge, where we have enough numbers of people, we can really influence the community, and again, our culture can emerge. And then in a fractal way, those clusters will be collaborating with other clusters. And we can have a network of regional clusters. And then we can have a network of global clusters, learning how to have resilient communities, with the foundation being agriculture, but also windmills or solar heat or designing communities, the arts. And so we'll have learning communities that'll be on a fast track developing the Baha'i clusters. It'll be like Athens in a learning community, except for we'll have access of the global network, so we'll learn faster than the Greeks did.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Another point I want to emphasize is realize that as a consequence of each phase of turbulence, energy is generated. Turbulence generates energy. So each phase of turbulence, and now we are in that stage of turbulence, there's sufficient energy created to carry the system onward, forward, more progressively. Well, thank you very much for your comments, because it really fits right into this discussion we're having right now.
If I can add for a minute, it all begins with us, doesn't it? And so we had in our house at the front, we had a book library, lots of books, lots of Baha'i books and all that. But we decided yesterday to take out the book and enter food, turn it into a food bank due to the current situation, and invited the neighborhoods up and down the street to contribute towards that, to make it a block, what you call agricultural effort in a very dense neighborhood. We're right across from the University of Washington, 72,000 students, right? So we invited the neighborhood to partake in that as a collaborative project. And guess what? It's working. So even though in a small front yard, you still can have a project that is obviously putting the money where their mouth is, besides the Unity Museum, which is just up the street, and
recording in progress.
Sorry, Jena, can you?
Okay, I think let's try it again, because I muted that other one, so I think we're fine. Yeah. Zabine, did you want to finish?
No, basically I'm saying lead by example. Don't wait for them, because show your opinion of the Baha'i, and all they can say, it's you. So this is when you get to the other side, they're not going to stand in for you. You're going to have to be the one that has to explain, when it clearly states that teaching is your primary, after recognition of the manifestation, teaching is your primary duty. That is what you are going to be accountable for. And it tells you how: every day proclaim, every 19 days to teach, at the end of the year enroll one at least. And so therefore, to me, it's pretty straightforward. We can collaboratively provide the services, and individually we need to teach and assist towards growth.
Yeah, and just a key thing, just remember that it should also be organic, right? Like Shoghi Effendi has asked, especially in his book, Advent of Divine Justice. So it really has to be organic. So I think that's key. So it's more sincere, right? So, and that takes some time.
By organic, what do you mean by organic?
Well, by organic, and I'll give you a great example, because I say this to my son all the time. So if, let's say you plant tomatoes. You know, you go pick a tomato from your backyard, you take that tomato, you go to your neighbor. Oh, hi, I had some tomatoes. Would you like one? And then you establish some type of relationship, some type of friendship, you know? Oh, great. And then maybe that they will. And then back and forth, you know, they end up seeing your character, you know, you start talking to them and you just build a sincere organic friendship. And then, oh, by the way, I'm having this class. By the way, I'm having this study. Oh, you have kids. I do too. Or whatever it may be. You have an elderly person, you know, oh, I can come and help do this. You know, we really have to be what Abdul Baha would wake up early in the morning and go feed the poor. I mean, we can. You know, these are all the little steps, you know, these are just little things that you do that then they're like, oh, well, who are you? Who is this person? Tell us a little bit about your faith. You know, oh my God, it's multicultural. I see these people coming back and forth. You really do want to be in unity. This is so different, you know, and that's what it really is. We believe in all the religions, of course. We believe in every single one of them. What sets us apart is that there's three new added messages, and we have to take them seriously. The unity of mankind, the equality of men and women, and the elimination of all kinds of prejudice. You know, and, you know, we know these things, but we have to really work on it, you know, organically, you know?
Furthermore, we can see the connection between all these religions we believe in, that thread that runs through them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, we have hundreds of students literally coming to our museum every time we're open 4 days a week. Our youth are very consciously aware that they are the change agents for this new race of men. And once they come through our meditation room, you know, and then they enter through the museum and our documentary room, they love to stay in our front lounge, which is our conversation room. And they stay 2, 3 hours because they want to share their ideas and they want to share their opinions. They want to contribute towards that. I am extremely hopeful. We have students from China, Vietnam, from South Africa, from Russia. And so therefore, I feel with a glimpse of what we are receiving, the young people that we're receiving, they're all ready and they're willing to stand by and make a difference. But what we can do is give them the guidance. Yeah, not every student wants to have a children's class or even do a book one. But what they do want to do is, how can I fit in? How can I make a difference? And this is where we come in with guidance. And Shogi Effendi, of course, oh my God, you know, Dr. Jerry Carey, when he wrote his book, he came to Hawaii and he just exploded with excitement and poured his love for the Guardian all over us in Hawaii. And I'm so grateful. And Angelina in the front just smiled and said, that's my husband. And so, you know, it was just a wonderful time. But those of us who were youth at that time, we got it. It was hammered into us, not about them, it's about you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for everybody for sharing. Let's continue because I do want to we really did
Well, I
digress.
didn't know if it was something you used or what it was.
Say it again. Say it again, Derek.
Oh no, I was talking to my wife.
Oh, okay. Okay.
May I add a point here?
Yes.
Okay. Now I refer to Ilya Prigozhin, Nobel laureate. He shows that in physical systems, actually, he proves that the turbulence that is generated creates sufficient energy to take the system upward. And if we look at what's happening in our world today, in particular in latest time during to COVID, the turbulence that is generated can take the whole system upward. I don't know if that idea resonates with you, but I do think that in the writings of beloved Shoghi Effendi, one can grasp the same concept between the two processes of disintegration and integration.
Yes, absolutely. Perfectly said. Teresa, if you could take us to the supra-historical element on page 168, please.
Okay. A supra-historical element, that a transcendent force is guiding the course of history toward its destiny, is implicit in the theology of all the great religions of the world and explicit in the Baha'i sacred writings. The mission of the Baha'i faith is centered on the conviction that the destiny of humankind is imminent in history and that a supra-historical element guides its course toward that culmination. Shoghi Effendi, in several of his writings, refers to the guiding hand that has released forces and to the hand that directs and controls their destiny toward the fulfillment of a divine purpose for humanity, the glorious advent anticipated by the great religions of the world. That the plan of God is at work is affirmed by Baha'u'llah. The Universal House of Justice reiterates this fundamental belief. The major plan of God is at work, and the forces it generates impel humanity towards its destiny. A unified history of humankind. Is history directed toward its culmination in a unified history of humankind? This question has intrigued historians over centuries. That history may be reached toward the unification of the entire human race in one global civilization is an auspicious prospect, thrilling and exhilarating. Page 169. It is exhilarating in that it is that one thing which can shed light on the tumult and chaos of the course of history. It is that one thing which can impart understanding of and insight into the events of our times. Far back in 1896, Lord Acton, a distinguished historian, articulated the idea of a universal history of humankind. By universal history, I understand that which is distinct from the combined history of all countries, which is not a rope of sand, but a continuous development, and is not a burden on the memory, but an illumination of the soul. It moves in a succession to which the nations are subsidiary. Their story will be told, not for their own sake, but in reference and subordination to a higher series, according to the time and the degree in which they contribute to the common fortunes of mankind. In more recent times, several notable scholars have expressed their conviction that history is destined to culminate in a global society. Robert Wright writes, globalization, it seems to me, has been in the cards not just since the invention of the telegraph or the steamship or even the written word or the wheel, but since the invention of life. Jeremy Rifkin, in The Emphatic Civilization, presents an overview of the history of humankind. He expresses optimism about the emphatic nature of man and argues that such empathy can serve as a social glue binding people to one another. Rifkin discusses the emergence of world and biosphere consciousness in a world in crisis, emphasizing urgency in averting a planetary collapse. The vision of the Baha'i faith is based on the doctrine of the nobility of man as an individual and consequently as the collective. The mission of the faith is centered on forging cohesive bonds among members of the human race, fundamental to the establishment of a global civilization. The focal point of the mission of Baha'u'llah for humanity is the premise that history is directed toward the culmination in the unified history of mankind. Such a culmination will be, to reiterate the words of Shoghi Effendi, the crowning glory of human evolution on this planet. Page 170.
Okay.
The
Does anybody
world
have any
civilization.
questions? Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
As I was writing these paragraphs, there was an enormous feeling I had of finally, for myself, coming to that realization of the course of history as anticipated by Baha'u'llah and as also described by beloved Shoghi Effendi. I just had an overwhelming feeling. Up to that point, it was just the repetition of words, but then it hit me so strongly that I felt overwhelmed by it.
Wow, how special to have that divine inspiration like that. That's amazing. That's amazing. Please, Teresa.
Okay, page 170. One world civilization, fruit of the unified history of humankind. The attainment of a unified history of humankind is fraught with challenges, barriers, and obstacles. In 1996, Samuel Huntington, in The Clash of Civilizations and the Remaking of World Order, expressed the view that the struggle and clashes divided across the lines of religion, ethnicity, culture, and civilization are now the major changes that face humanity. The events of our particular times draw focused attention to the urgent need to overcome these critical challenges. On one hand, unprecedented mass migration, a characteristic feature of our times, exasperates this clash. On the other hand, it provides opportunities for forging more extensive bonds of unity among varied populations from diverse civilizations, religions, cultures, and ethnicities. Consistent with the science of chaos, overcoming the attendant turbulence and tumult is bound to escalate our collective society over time to a higher level of order. Religion, impetus to the advancement of civilizations. Major religions emerged as the primary driving force of the civilizing process, writes the Universal House of Justice. The Logos, the Word of God, is endowed with such power as to bring about the collective regeneration and transformation of human culture and civilization. Divine truth revealed through the great religions of the world is the motive force for the advancements of civilization. Abdu'l-Baha asserts, the purpose of these references is to establish the fact that the religions of God are the true source of the spiritual and material perfections of man, and the fountainhead for all mankind of enlightenment and beneficial knowledge. If one observes the matter justly, it will be found that all the laws of politics are contained in these few and holy words. Evidence from history supports the premise that the great religions in the past, the Zoroastrian, Hindu, Buddhist, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim, have served as powerful forces toward the generation of the world's great civilizations. For example, progress in European civilizations can be attributed to a great extent to the influence of Christianity and Islam. Page 171. Arnold Toynbee argues convincingly that the higher religions play a major role in the regeneration and advance of civilizations. He views the impetus for the advancement of civilizations as a spiritual one provided by religions. Such a premise has very few proponents in our times, which may explain why the recognition and appreciation of this eminent historian is incommensurate with his remarkable erudition. Toynbee's assertion is based on his extensive study of the world's religions and their role in the development of great civilizations. His treatise on the rise and fall of civilizations is covered in an impressive 12-volume work, A Study of History. This historian provides insightful analysis on the significant role of the great religions of the world toward the advancement of civilizations.
Okay, let's pause here. Actually, we'll end here on page 171 due to time. And then the assignment will be to read through chapter 8, and we'll pick up on chapter 8, most likely on page 194 when we get back on the 20th of November to read that. But right now, I want to go back because, I really do like to listen to Dr. Khodadad. So when she says she had this inspiration, especially for those last few paragraphs, The one thing that jumped out at me, and I think it's a very important core virtue that I think we all need to work on is empathy, right? Out of all the virtues, if we in this entire world can have that empathy and be empathetic towards one another, like Dr. Khodadad says, that it's the social glue. I mean, it is so imperative, I think, to life. I mean, look, Baha'u'llah doesn't want us to be hermits, right? We got a little bit comfortable and complacent with this whole COVID by staying home. We really shouldn't. You know, this Zoom, as good as it is, shouldn't be in place of, okay? It should accentuate. We still need to get out there, okay? And meet people and teach the message, the writings. Please, I don't want to say anything else, but just wanted to say I want to go back and read page 168 and 169 because of that feeling that you had, because it's power, right? It's beautiful.
May I add one word here? Neda, I agree with you completely that we should go out and interact with people. But I also want to add that because of COVID, this system of Zoom and other systems has been generated and it has been promoted. And I think that aside from meeting each other, I have had the opportunity and the privilege, as many of you have had, to meet with Baha'is across the planet. So what that does, on one hand, it generates excitement and enthusiasm. There are Baha'is all over the world that otherwise one would have to catch a plane and travel there each time, and they express their opinions, and that serves as another level of glue. And I find that very valuable personally, because before the Zoom, what would happen with me, I would simply go to conferences, maybe in England, maybe in Italy, and only get a fragmentary satisfaction. But through this mode of virtual, I'm not saying Zoom, there are many other modes, it is possible for us now to meet one another in this setting. And it's possible for us to gain or be inspired by the passion and the insights that are provided. We live in very unusual days. Someone referred to a statement from Abdul Baha or even Baha'u'llah that in future people will be able to do that, to interact without traveling long distances. I can't pull out that reference for you, but I make it my mission to find it.
Perfect, beautiful. Zabine, please.
Well, I've traveled to 65 countries in person, slept on many mattresses and floors. But I want to just put out, I'm a product of World War II Germany. I've never lived in the pre-World War in Germany because I'm born 1942. And let me tell you, I'm very alarmed what I perceive. I just saw a Frontline special on the rising of the populist movement back in Germany. We all saw a month ago when Putin, when Russia, China, India, Modi, Africa, Venezuela, and Brazil announced on stage with North Korea and Iran, they launched formally the New World Order and will have their own currency. So whether we think we're in it or not, we're in it. And so therefore, right now for Baha'is need to really fully be able to explain the difference between that New World Order and Baha'u'llah's New World Order, which includes spirituality. And so the students are asking, young people are asking already. So I don't know your neighborhood, your sphere of influence, but let me tell you, our global students are right in that conversation. And the New World Order, as we said, it is set in motion, it is up and running, and you better be part of it.
May I say something?
Yeah, thank you. Well said. Just one moment. Jay, Derek, and then Sherry. Jay, please. Jay, unmute yourself.
I didn't mind Sherry jumping in there if she has something timely, but I'll be
Okay.
real short.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
Or Sherry, you want to jump in?
Sherry, do you want to jump in?
I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Cherry Shakiban. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And if it wasn't for Zoom, I wouldn't be able to join this beautiful gathering. I am a retired professor of mathematics from University of St. Thomas. You can just go and Google me, you find me. I decided instead of making comments to make an image. I don't know, maybe I can, maybe I can send it to you. This says, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, unity of mankind is like a fractal, one pattern expressed through endless diversity.
Yeah, it happens that fractal geometry is one of my expertise. Before I retired, I have a chapter in a book that manuscript on fractals and self-similarity applied to architecture, mainly the architecture of the Southern Europe. So fractals come very close to my heart. And I really enjoy reading about it in Dr. Khodadad's book.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing a little bit about your background. I love that we really do, and look, Ya Baha'u'llah with Baha'u'llah, that we have so many talented and wonderful Baha'is among us, you know? So thank you for sharing. Jay and then Derek, please.
Okay, I was going to address that accelerated growth that Dr. Jena is looking for. And when we were talking about organic organization, and I think in the systems dynamics, it's self-organization. And the Baha'is, our clusters, need to self-organize, that we need to concentrate on our unity and our collaborative nature to create a nucleus that then can expand like through mitosis. But I think that the expansion is in our development of our clusters. And I know and when we have our clusters developed, then we'll be able to develop our empathy and our other attributes and virtues, because we'll be living in a spiritual community. And so again, I think when we can develop our clusters, that'll be our source, our catalyst for growth.
Great, thank you so much. Derek, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just want to comment on this Zoom. I see both sides of it because, again, I wouldn't be able to attend this if it wasn't for Zoom. But, in our community, we do the hybrid meetings. And while it has increased attendance, more people attend on Zoom than in person. And the community is like, how do we get more people to attend? And I'll admit, sometimes when I could attend in person, I do attend on Zoom. But we're talking about how do we get more people back to attending in person? How do we do that?
That's an excellent question. Thank you.
Rose, please.
Thank you. Just being inspired by what dear Cherry said, I wanted to tell you, I'm another mathematician from the UK, a little bit further than where Cherry is. And
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. And for those of you who may not know us, I suppose worldwide we are well known, but if you like, this is Harry's Deepening. Harry's Deepening, and we are on Facebook and YouTube. And this is what dear Dr. Khodadad and myself are the coordinators of it. We've done nearly 6 years of it, and 20th of March will be our 7th year. And the beauty is, Dr. Khodadad and myself, we never met in real life. It's my biggest wish to meet dear Jena. We haven't met, but obviously we are very close because we are working very closely as well.
Could you put your information on the chat so I can copy it and contact you?
Yes, of course. In fact, if I'm not intruding your Zoom, dear Neda, I wanted to say, if any one of you would like to have a monthly emails, you may put your email in the chat. I will send you our email. We are there every single day, apart from Wednesday and Saturday. Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. At the moment, we are studying the Chosen Highway. And on Sundays or special days is when me and dear Jena, we have this fireside stroke discourse. So it's not just fireside, it's discourse. And we have up to 100 people. The Sunday which passed, we had Steve Sarovate from Chicago. You might know him. He was our presenter, and we had nearly 100 people there. And we have quite a lot of friends of the faith as well. And there are so many stories I can tell you about the teaching we are doing. Like today in our class, we had a couple of friends of the faith, not just Baha'is. We are doing a lot. But one of you said about how to attract people back to non-Zoom in-person gathering. I think one, we have to be mindful of what sort of days and times suit most participants, and then make our gathering attractive to them. Don't have it boring, just an hour or two, just say, pray and go. Make it viable, make it friendly, make it in such a way that people want to come and meet you. Like if you come to our Zoom, you will see any newcomer, me and Jena will jump in and say, hi, where are you joining for us? How are you? Blah, blah, welcome, blah, blah. They feel good to come again. And that you can do it in person as well. Sorry, I spoke too much. I put the ID of our Zoom there. It is 6 o'clock London time, which is 1800 GMT, if you like. If you leave your email address for me, if you like, I will send you a monthly email. Once a month we send it. Yes, I have some emails here. That's great. I will send you, but
And Rose, why don't you also put your email? And I have over 2,000 people, and I can actually just let them know as well. Okay, so send me your email right now too, just so I have it. And I love that you said that. So like for example, tomorrow, not tomorrow, Saturday. So we do, we're just starting this. It's called Soulful Evenings for Families, and it's a monthly potluck in my home. And where we have little classes, we teach virtues to the kids, and then the grown-ups, the families, from my son's school, hopefully they'll come. We'll see. I'm going to try it. Saturday's going to be our first time. We'll see if they come, they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. They usually love to talk about my foster baby because she's just beautiful, the 1-year-old. So, and then, it just conversation happens.
well, for those of us who can't make your dinner,
Oh, no.
Shane,
You said create, so I'm just giving suggestion, because, to make it fun. So that was just an idea, like someone else can do something similar,
you don't push it means just give them money instead. Okay, I put the ID.
Okay.
768679713. No ID, because we started March 2020 when Zooms there were that many. We didn't have ID those days. So
okay, perfect.
Thank you very much. Sorry, thank you for letting me speak.
No, of course, yeah. So thank you so much. I'm curious now, why is it called Harry's Deepenings? Why Harry? Why not Sam?
My husband was Hormozet.
Okay.
You can't see it on this one, can you? No. It's a bit, I'll show you another picture. It was Hormozet, but in this country, people couldn't say Hormozet, so they called him Harry.
Oh, gotcha.
Put that there. Can you see that? Oops. Can you see everyone?
Yep.
It says Hormozet Harry.
Okay, got it.
Harry was my husband who passed away 17.5 years ago.
Okay. May his soul continue to soar, especially with every time his name is being seen and heard in your fireside classes, which is wonderful.
Thank you so much. And I'm so honored that dear Dr. Khodadad is helping me. We are doing this. This is our baby. Sundays, classes, my son does it, but Sundays are me and Jena's baby only.
Yeah, and I'm going to take this out of the recording, but I just have to also say, Dr. Khodadad, your beloved husband. So I just can't say Harry and not mention Dr. Khodadad too. So for him to just also have his soul continue to lift.
Thank you. I really believe Jena's dad, mom and dad, are our guardian angels, because they always had firesides. And when we have these firesides, I always feel her parents are with us.